Hello everyone. I hope you are doing well. I am here to make you confident. My goal is to help you realize who you are and what you can achieve. Let's start with our today's story. Isaac Newton's story. Isaac Newton is often hailed as one of the greatest minds to ever walk the earth. His journey to brilliance wasn't a smooth ride, though. It was one filled with setbacks, challenges, and moments of intense focus. But these very struggles shaped him into the brilliant scientist and mathematician that the world knows him as today. The early years, a humble beginning. Born on January 4, 1643, in Woolsthorpe, England, Isaac Newton came into the world prematurely. His father, also named Isaac Newton, had passed away 3 months before his birth, leaving him an orphan at birth. This was an early indication that his life would be one of overcoming adversity. His mother, Hannah Askew, remarried when Newton was just 3 years old, and he was sent to live with his grandmother. This early separation from his mother may have fostered a sense of solitude in Newton, but it also gave him space to develop his interests and intellectual abilities. From a young age, Newton showed an extraordinary capacity for learning. He wasn't interested in the usual child's play. Instead, he enjoyed building models of windmills, water clocks, and other mechanical devices. At school, he was an indifferent student, preferring to read and study on his own rather than socializing with others. Yet, despite his lack of enthusiasm for traditional education, he excelled in his studies when it came to mathematics and physics. The university years, a turning point. At the age of 18, Newton entered the University of Cambridge. It was there that his intellectual transformation truly began. He was introduced to the works of the greatest scientific minds of his time, Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, and Descartes. The theories of the universe that had once seemed distant and abstract were now within his grasp. In 1665, when Newton was just 22, the plague struck London, forcing the university to close its doors. Newton, ever the solitary genius, returned to Woolsthorpe, where he would spend the next 2 years in isolation, free from the distractions of university life. It was during this period, known as his Annus Mirabilis, or Year of Wonders, that Newton made some of his most groundbreaking discoveries. The 3 laws of motion and universal gravitation. It was here, in the quiet of his childhood home, that Newton began to develop his famous laws of motion. One day, as he sat in his garden, he observed an apple falling from a tree. This simple, everyday event led him to ask the profound question, why do objects fall straight down, and not in some other direction? He realized that the force responsible for the apple's fall was the same force that governed the motion of celestial bodies, like the planets. This insight would eventually lead to the formulation of his law of universal gravitation. According to this law, every particle of matter in the universe attracts every other particle with a force that is proportional to their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. But Newton didn't stop there. He also formulated his 3 laws of motion, which laid the foundation for classical mechanics. These laws described how objects move in response to forces and are still used today to understand everything from the motion of planets to the functioning of modern machinery. The birth of calculus. As if his discoveries in physics weren't enough, Newton also developed a new branch of mathematics, calculus. At the time, mathematicians struggled with problems involving instantaneous rates of change. Newton, ever the problem solver, invented what he called the method of fluxions, which would later be known as calculus. This new mathematical tool allowed him to analyze and solve complex problems involving motion and change. Interestingly, Newton wasn't the only one working on calculus. Around the same time, German mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz independently developed a similar method. The two men would later engage in a bitter dispute over who had priority in the discovery of calculus. Although history has given Newton the credit, the debate over the invention of calculus remains a source of controversy to this day. The Royal Society and further discoveries. Newton's fame began to spread, and in 1672, he was elected a member of the Royal Society, one of the most prestigious scientific organizations in the world. His reputation continued to grow, and his work in optics led to even more important discoveries. In 1704, he published Optics, in which he detailed his experiments with light and color. He had discovered that white light is made up of many different colors, which can be separated using a prism. This work laid the groundwork for the study of optics and helped to further cement his reputation as one of the greatest scientists of his time. The legacy of Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton's contributions to science are immeasurable. His laws of motion and universal gravitation revolutionized our understanding of the universe. His development of calculus became an essential tool for mathematicians and scientists alike. And his work in optics helped to shape the field of modern physics. But beyond his scientific achievements, Newton's story is a testament to the power of curiosity, persistence, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge. His life reminds us that even the most extraordinary minds often begin from humble beginnings, and that it is the questions we ask, and the way we seek answers, that can change the world. In the centuries since his death, Newton's legacy has lived on, inspiring countless scientists, mathematicians, and thinkers to look beyond the visible and explore the deeper truths of the universe. He may have left us, but his ideas continue to shape our world in ways that were unimaginable in his time.